And then there were four, the final four. Hey, what's up, everybody? Since we last spoke, Klobuchar, thankfully Buttigieg, and Tom Steyer have all dropped out of the Democratic primary. So now we have Biden, Liz, and Bernie. You know, it's funny. Amy Klobuchar is the candidate that's really made me most question this whole process because, and this doesn't mean anything, but I feel like Andrew Yang was a heck of a lot more public, a lot more visible. He did a lot more campaigning. He just seemed like a way more viable candidate to me, to the point where he actually had visible supporters like Yang Gang. To this day, I still don't know where Klobuchar's support was coming from. Did she just hold out longer than anybody? Was she a lame duck 6 months ago and just didn't acknowledge it? I mean, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, if somebody with the visibility of Andrew Yang could drop out a month or so ago, and then you got her hanging on, and I haven't seen a single commercial. I haven't heard of any verbal supporters. Like, you know, Dave Chappelle, that's a pretty ringing endorsement. He's a popular figure. Like, I don't know who the most popular person to endorse her is, and I don't care about that stuff. But these things are generally good gauges as to how much support someone is getting. So it's like, I don't see any support whatsoever she's gotten from the people. And I'm certainly not seeing support that she's gotten from, you know, famous folks. So I ask again, like, where's all of her support coming from? My suspicion is that she's just such a Democratic insider that she's got that Hillary/donor list where, you know, she probably raised a decent amount of funds amongst the right people, which allowed her to finance as long as she did. But I've not seen a single poll. I haven't seen a top 2 or 3 finish from her. So it's just baffling how she stayed in this race for as long as she has. To a lesser degree, Buttigieg. I mean, there's been a lot of moderate celebrity endorsements for him, and he's had a little bit of backing. But generally speaking, I think people need to realize that this moderate way of thinking only seems to affect the left of center, and in this case, let's just say it, the Democratic Party. I can't remember the last time a Republican ran to the left intentionally. I can't remember the last time a Republican ran away from conservatism. The reason why progressive is thrown around so much now is because liberal basically became a dirty word. Not that they're the same thing, but liberal was used as a slur. Hey, he's too liberal. Hey, how liberal are you? Trust me, guys, I'm not that liberal. But you never hear that about conservatism. No one ever runs from that. That needs to be addressed. That's part of that. That to me explains Bernie's popularity. Bernie is a guy who's not running from his ideals. He is a left-wing candidate giving you a left-wing alternative to the right-wing regime that's in office right now. You know, I asked a friend of mine, if Klobuchar were to win, what kind of president would she be? Is she a reformer? Or is she going to be just a person who oversees the same thing Trump is overseeing now? There's nothing in her background or Buttigieg's background or even Biden's background that suggests they're going to do anything when they get in office. What is their ask? What do they want? They don't seem to want anything. They're, like I said before, they're just like Alec Baldwin, Bette Midler. These rich progressives, or whatever you want to call them, they're angry at the process in that they don't like the dirty words Trump uses. But Alec Baldwin and Bette Midler are not losing sleep over kids getting shot by cops in the ghetto. They're not losing sleep over extreme poverty in America. They're not losing sleep over that stuff. They're just not conservative. Know the difference between someone who's just not a conservative and somebody who's actually on your side and actually believes in the things you believe in. Tom Steyer, I think he's a left-wing guy, but one of those rich environmentalist type guys. You know, he didn't support Medicare for all. He was one of those expand healthcare type guys without really explaining what that means. So, and let's be real, the whole juvenile thing wasn't a direct attempt at pandering. That's when you see stuff like that. I don't think Steyer's racist for that per se, but I do think that just means he's out of touch. I cannot stand white folks that feel like they got to show their quote unquote black side in order to be friends or to get the attention of black folk. That just makes me want to fucking puke. You know, it's like that co-worker white guy who walks up to you and starts talking about the catalog of rap songs he's familiar with because he thinks that's how he has to relate to you. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. That hot sauce shit Hillary did on the Breakfast Club probably lost her a lot of black folks because I know those rich, elitist, well-educated Harvard types, they think all black folks in the poor middle class are stupid, but we're not. We know pandering when we see it, and we know when we see a lack of authenticity, we can call that shit. Now, as for who's left, Bloomberg is an example that you can buy yourself pretty heavily into the presidential race, and that's for a chance to run the country. Think about it. This man wasn't even on the debate 3 months ago. He's been in 2 debates. And you cannot run from his political ads. I can't watch a YouTube video about fucking professional wrestling or video games without a fucking Mike Bloomberg ad coming up there. Okay? I was on Pornhub the other day and I could have swore a Bloomberg ad came on there first, but I could be wrong. Once again, this is a rich guy who's running for president because he wants to be president. Listen, guys, everybody wants to be president. Every rich man. I mean, think about it. A guy like Bloomberg is 80 years old. He's made more money than he's ever going to make in the future. So what else is there to accomplish? Fuck it, be president. Same thing with Trump. Trump, he wasn't going to take time out to seriously launch a presidential campaign back in the 80s or the 90s when he still had billions to make. But now, hey, he's down to stuff like The Apprentice. I've often said this was to get 5 more years out of The Apprentice. The ratings were down, so maybe to spark some interest, he run for president, go back to the show, and the show's ratings are boosted off of all the shit that happened on the presidential run, but he fucked around and won. Now that's going to have to wait until whenever he leaves office, so that's what it is. But nobody's going to tell me that Donald Trump felt the country going down the drain, and he had to answer the call of duty to save the fucking place. No, this is a rich guy with a vanity project in the form of a presidential run, and Bloomberg is doing pretty much the same thing. Like I said before, and it's not that I'm just in love with Bernie. I'm skeptical of all of them. I'm skeptical of humans, period, especially those that are in a position to profit off of something. So if you can profit off of your office, I seriously think it takes away the incentive to try to do anything for the people that voted you in, especially when you figured out that you can just lie to them once every 4 years and get elected and they'll buy anything you sell. But at the end of the day, there's one person in this race that's actually talking about reform. Some of us see huge problems out there, and the person closest to proposing solutions for those problems is Bernie Sanders. So if you're somebody who wants results with your politics, I see him as the only valid solution in this election here. So your choices are simple. Do you want it to stay the same or do you want it to change? Because if you want it to stay the same, there's really no point in supporting a Klobuchar or a Buttigieg or a Biden over Trump. I just don't see the difference. If you think Biden is going to be less problematic, he's not going to talk about grabbing pussies and all that stuff, well, I can make you the case that he's got just as problematic of a past as Trump. Hell, even in that last debate, he triggered something I'm sick of when race comes up in debates. What's the first thing Biden said? I used to be a public defender and I worked in the projects. Listen, we do need criminal justice reform, and it will benefit black folks tremendously because we are disproportionately targeted by police in this country. But when your way of addressing black people is to talk about how you got people off from crimes and how you worked in the projects, that just kind of tells me what you think about black people. That's insulting. That when I think of black people, I think public defense and the projects. I'm fond of saying how people in the ivory tower speak fluent stereotype because it's literally the only language they know. Middle Eastern, terrorist, Irish, drunk, black, take your pick. We'll just go with lazy. Mexican, dirty immigrant, work for less, Asian, sneaky. These are all labels that white guys have stuck on minorities in this country. So when you see people who sort of kind of have that stereotypical thinking, it doesn't mean that Joe Biden has a Klan mask in his closet. But it also doesn't mean that he looks at black people the way black people see themselves or the way that black people see him. When people talk about Abraham Lincoln, they always say, honest Abe, he freed the slaves. Yes, he did. But go a step further and look and see what Abraham Lincoln felt about black people personally. Now you can say, hey, I can see what you say and I watch what you do. Hey, he might have said that racist stuff just to try to be a guy of his day, but his actions said that he was going to free the slaves, so he was a good man. Yeah, well, you add that to the whole freeing the slaves was a military strategy deal, where if you're up north, all the slaves are in the south, and you say the slaves are free, then yeah, you're going to have a whole bunch of southern slaves coming up north to fight for the north. So when you look at his statements, plus that possible motive, it gets you to look like, well, you know what? Abraham Lincoln was a racist. He just happened to be a racist who freed slaves. It's just like, it's no different than the racist who lusts after black women. He don't think black people is his equal. He thinks blacks are beneath him. But boy, he love fucking them black women. It's no different. People act like racism and dealing with black people are mutually exclusive. It's evolved. The racists nowadays don't believe that black people carry special black people diseases anymore, but they still believe that black people are harmful and that they are superior. They just have different logic and reason for feeling that way. So the options in this election are very, very, very slim. I don't think Bernie's going to win because I can see how all of these people dropping out of the race is sort of so they can galvanize this whole moderate thing. They're going to muscle Bernie out of the way. They're going to get the candidate they want. That candidate is going to lose to Trump big. And we're going to be probably having this conversation in 4 more years. Being a miserable political observer for my entire adult life has drawn me to that conclusion. So I'm already bracing myself for deep impact come election day. Anyway, 7 has just become 4, and soon 4 will be 1 because Super Tuesday is upon us. I have some more things to say about this whole election process as far as the Democrats go. That'll most likely be my next video. But until then, catch you guys on the flip side. I'm the regular one, stepping off.